Hi, thanks for watching my video today. My name's Andrea and I'm a woman's hormone expert. And I wrote my book as well, the Perimenopause Handbook. So I've gone through the perimenopause myself and I'm now in menopause. And I've been studying women's hormones for the last 10 years. I'm just interested in how it's affected my body and my health issues. Because I didn't know how a woman's body worked. I didn't know how my body worked and how my hormones worked. So this is what I want to chat to you about today, about how your hormones work in your body as a woman, and how knowing this you can it can just change your life and have a big impact on your life and how you go about your day-to-day life. So first of all, I want to talk about what the different hormones are in your body. And so the first hormone is called progesterone. And you probably know about all these hormones, but not know exactly what they are and how they all work. And your progesterone is very precious to a woman. And not a lot of ladies understand that ovulation is important for progesterone because that is when progesterone is made. The majority of your progesterone will be made after ovulation in your ovaries. And it's your natural antidepressant. It's very calming, progesterone. It also helps to stimulate your bone health, uses your fat for energy. It helps to balance your blood sugar levels. It normalizes your blood clotting. It's involved with your sex drive and helps to normalize your menstrual cycle because you need estrogen and progesterone in your menstrual cycle. And it balances the effects of estrogen, and it's used to produce anti-stress hormones as well. So that's a really important thing to understand is progesterone can be stolen when you have high amounts of stress in your life. And this is what happened to me. And estrogen is the next hormone, and this can be a hormone that can get out of control in a woman's body as well. It can, like I said, your progesterone can get stolen because of stress. So that's one thing to think about as well. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in my video. Estrogen, there's lots of different types of estrogen. The main types are estrone, which is E1, and that's mainly made in menopause, when you get to menopause. Um, and then you have estradiol, which is E2. Now this is the main hormone which is around in your fertile years, as 20s and 30s, and it gives you your womanly curves, your tight bottom, your pert breasts, your luscious hair, protects your skin. You've got lovely skin. It works in your vagina health, your GI tract health, and your eye health as well. And then you have estriol, which is E3, and that's made in your liver and your breast tissue and your placenta during pregnancy. Plays a role which cells get turned on and off to estrogen, and it also binds to receptors affecting your breasts, liver, uterus, your brain, and estrogen overall helps to bind to receptors in your body, protecting your breast, your brain, your liver, uterus, your bone health, and regulates cholesterol as well. And so you have receptor sites all over your body for your hormones, and they latch on to these receptor sites. And you can have also mimics of estrogen, where there's certain substances and toxins that are in our environment, they're everywhere. They can mimic estrogen in your body, and they can latch onto these receptor sites and create havoc with your hormone health, which is what you don't want really. You want your human estrogen to be latching onto your receptor sites, not these imposters, which can come from what you're putting on your skin, household products. A lot of these products can contain toxins that are not good for your for your hormone health. And this is how estrogen can get out of control, that I talked about. Estrogen can get out of control. It's a growth hormone, so it's where the uterus can grow too much blood, can cause heavy bleeding, could cause the growth of fibroids, and there are other things involved with that, with growth of fibroids, not just estrogen. So yeah, this is the other types of estrogens that you can have, the mimics of estrogens. So then we've got testosterone in your body, and you probably think testosterone's for men, but it's also important for women as well. And it's involved with your muscle tone and your libido and bone density. It helps to protect your bones as you're getting older, and your heart health. And it helps to increase your circulation and the production of mucus in your vagina. So it does play a role in your sex drive as well, in your sexual health, health of your vagina. It encourages fertility, so it is involved with your fertility, so it does quite a lot. It is important for women. And if you have too much of testosterone, you can get acne, polycystic ovarian syndrome, facial hair, especially menopause ladies that have too much of the androgens in their body. It flips over to to testosterone, and this is what can cause a lot of the facial hair. It's what you don't want really in menopause. So what we have is how your body regulates your hormones in your body. It's what's called your HPA axis, hypothalamus axis, pituitary gland axis, and this happens in your brain. It's like the main control center of all your hormones. It's like the hippocampus. It's got nicknamed hippocampus, and it talks to everything. It gives instructions to all your glands and all your hormones in your body. Because then you have your adrenal glands, you have your thyroid in your neck here, either side of your neck. Your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys in your back area. So they play an important role in looking after your hormones in menopause, when your ovaries stop producing hormones and your menstrual cycle stops. So that's your HPA axis. You have the main controller, which gives the signal to your pituitary gland, and then your pituitary gland will go and talk to your ovaries and give them instructions what to do, talk to your thyroid, talk to your adrenal glands, your pancreas, all over your body, and giving them instructions on what they have to do and their different roles in your body. So how does your menstruation work then? Because I didn't know how my menstruation worked. I don't know about yourself. So you have your menstruation about every 28 days. It can be, lots of women are different, so it can be different for different women. There's no, it's between 25 and like 30 days for your period. And you'll mark your calendar when your period's going to happen every month. And you probably don't think, oh, what are the hormones at play and how does it work during this month? You just know you go through the month, and then at the end of the month you have your period, and you might have a few PMS symptoms like sore breasts, you're moody, you're really tired and lethargic before your period, and you don't think anything else of it. So what's involved with your menstruation is, first day of your menstruation is your bleed. So when you start bleeding, that's the first day of your cycle starting all over again. And then you'll bleed for between 5 and 7 days, depending on how long your menstrual cycle is. And if you're having some heavy bleeding, then there is something not quite right there, like your progesterone and estrogen's not quite working in ebb and flow like it should do if you're having lots of heavy bleeding. And also if you're missing your periods, there could be something that you're doing that you might be have some problems with some minerals, or you're just having problems with too low of hormones, or your adrenal glands are not regulating your hormones correctly. Your hormones are just too low and you can't have a period. So that's something to look at as well. And your follicle stimulating hormone, your brain will say, okay, let's increase your follicle stimulating hormone, talks to your ovaries. Let's begin to create a new egg again, mature an egg and get it ready for the next ovulation that's going to happen. So then your follicle stimulating hormone will start into play, and as soon as your period's finished, then your estrogen will start to increase again to prepare and mature that egg to get it ready for ovulation. And that can take about 13 days to happen. And after that 13 days, then you'll have an ovulation. Now, you can track when you ovulate. You might feel a few twinges, and I know I used to do, when you know that ovulation's taking place, when your follicle ruptures and the egg is released, and then that will create like a pop-up shop, I call it. It's the corpus luteum, and that's when progesterone will be released from that. Let's see how important it is for you to ovulate every month, so the estrogen, the ovulation takes place, and then the estrogen, progesterone will be released. And so this is what happens in the second 2 weeks of your month. When progesterone starts to go high, and so progesterone is more dominant than estrogen in this phase. And the first phase of estrogen is when you can be more productive, you've got more energy, you can work out, do a lot of strong strength exercises, some HIIT routines. You might want to sort out your closet and have lots of ideas. It's when you want to be more social. And this is the estrogen phase of your cycle, when you just feel great and you just feel like on top of the world, lots of energy. And this is why you can follow your cycle, follow your natural rhythm of your cycle to benefit your health. You know when you're more productive, you know when you can be more social during this first 2 weeks of the month. And then the second 2 weeks of the month, if your progesterone phase, is when your the estrogen also is preparing the womb, your uterus, with blood lining ready for the egg to be fertilized. And what progesterone does, it goes and helps estrogen with this preparation of the uterus in case you want to have a baby. And progesterone will be there to keep the blood in check. And so the estrogen will be the growth of the blood lining, and the progesterone's there to say, okay, we've got enough now, we don't need any more blood, we've got enough now, we don't need more lining. So they can see what I talked about earlier. If estrogen is too high or it gets out of control and progesterone's not there to keep it under control and say, come on, we don't want to produce any more blood, we've got enough now, we don't want to have any heavy bleeding because we've not got enough progesterone around. So they work together, and then progesterone will go higher if you get pregnant, to nourish that uterus and nourish the egg and the growth of the baby. And then with progesterone higher in the second 2 weeks, you can start feeling a lot more lethargic, especially before your period, about around day 21, going in towards your menstruation. You'll feel less productive. You want to slow down and be more relaxed, and pay attention to your exercise around this time. Don't do lots of high intensity, lots of strength training, lots of lifting weights and getting out of breath, because that's going to stress your body out too much. And during this phase, you want to eat more nourishing foods, because you need more nourishment around this time. You'll probably feel a lot hungrier. You want to eat more, and this is natural. This is what your body's natural rhythm, and you want to rest more and not be social. I don't want to go out and be social, because you're paying more attention to resting and eating nourishing foods, and this is where your body can utilize fat much easier. And in progesterone phase, this is when you can burn your carbs much more efficiently. This is why I said about you can do carb cycling, things like that. In your estrogen phase, you can build muscle during this phase. So your progesterone phase is more relaxing. So you can see how if you're working with your natural rhythm every month, you're working with these different ebbs and flows of estrogen, progesterone, you can be more productive, and you can put less stress on your body when you know when to pull back in life, when to relax, when you're more productive. It can make a massive impact on your hormone health and your health as a woman, and create a healthier life just by following this natural rhythm. And because I was on the birth control pill. I have had digestive issues all my life, and this had a massive impact on my life because I didn't ovulate for 10 years properly. Because when you're on the pill, birth control pill, you don't ovulate. I wasn't producing progesterone. It had a massive impact on my health. And going through perimenopause, I had lots and lots of issues and symptoms to address and to research. And working with, when I work with women, I work with nutrition, with lifestyle, with your mindset, because your mind, the way you think about yourself, your thoughts, they all affect the way that your hormones react in your body, and your stress hormone as well. And I worked on all these, and I studied herbs, I studied the best supplements to help me with my repair and health and healing, because my adrenal gland wasn't working properly, my thyroid wasn't working properly, my whole communication centre in my body was breaking down, and it wasn't working correctly because of years and years and years of stress, years of being on the birth control pill, not following my natural rhythm, and my rhythm was out, my hormones were just completely out. Because women's hormones are a lot more sensitive to a man's hormones. Men have testosterone 24/7, they have it all throughout the month. Women's hormones going up and down, like the different phases of estrogen and progesterone. And so you have a different body every week of the month. You know, as your hormones change, your body changes, and you wake up in your estrogen phase, you've got lots of energy. In progesterone phase, you feel, oh gosh, I'm waking up and feeling a bit more tired today, not as much energy today. This is how your body works, a woman's body works. It's different to a man's. And this is where diets don't work for women, because you have to look at your nutrition, and there's not restrict your food. Give your body the nourishment that it's asking for in the different phases of your cycle. And using food to help with that is just can really massively affect your health. And this is why I'm so passionate about women's health and helping women, knowing what I've gone through myself and how you can prevent that, how I can educate you to prevent that from happening to you, so you can have better health in your perimenopause journey, in your menopause. You can be stronger and have less symptoms during this phase of your life, and you can empower yourself to take back control of your hormones. As a woman, you'll have less hormone imbalances. Because this is the next thing I was going to talk about, hormone imbalance symptoms, which can be fibroids, can be endometriosis, fibromyalgia, polycystic breasts, depression, anxiety, PCOS, weight gain, hot flashes, mood swings, lost periods, heavy periods, can't maintain your weight, you've got brain fog, you've got extreme fatigue. All this can be a sign of hormone imbalance. It's an imbalance that's going on in your body, and is there something that's not quite right? It could be lots and lots of different things, not just the estrogen and progesterone being out of balance. So it might not be enough to look at hormone replacement. There could be other things involved. And you don't have to go through perimenopause and menopause to have lots of symptoms. It can happen to any woman. And I sadly hear of lots of other women that are going through menopause so young. I know I was speaking to a girl the other day, she was only 30 years old going through menopause. And, this is what I don't want to happen for the next generation of women, if they can take back control of how their bodies work, and if they can educate women in schools now about menopause and how the hormones work, and taking care of women in the workplace as well in menopause, because there's a lot of help for women in pregnancy around this time, but not a lot of help for women in menopause at work. And it's how you can go through these different phases of your life, because you have different phases of your life. You have your puberty, where you need to looking at your nutrition and incorporating some supplements to help you grow into a woman, help your periods develop, because they can be a bit scatty at first. It can take a year or two for your periods to settle down as you're growing into a woman in puberty. You need some extra nutrition at that stage. You need some extra hormones, some extra supplements, the herbs to help, some extra food that can help out with this phase. And then you have your fertility years in your 20s and your 30s, where you can follow the ebb and flow of your cycle, and focus on your nutrition and some supplements and herbs to help, and looking at your lifestyle to help as well, getting out the toxins to help in that life. Then you have menopause and perimenopause, which I'm going to talk about next. And this is a phase of your life where you're creating another body again. So you have different phases where you create different bodies. And menopause, you're creating a different body. So it's looking at that. Okay, I'm creating a different body now. How can I shift my nutrition? How can I shift my mindset? Because a lot of things come up in menopause. Your brain shifts. The amygdala in your brain will shift. It can awaken emotions that you've not dealt with, you've thought you've dealt with. It's menopause is a time where you go from being in your fertile years of nurturing, of caring, of pleasing people, of wanting to be there. Because women are there to help. They're women to keep the family together, close knit. In your family, they always go to the woman, don't they, the mother. Where's this? Where's that? Can you help me with that? Can you help me with this? And we can still do that in menopause. But it's the time of our life where we focus in more on ourselves. It can awaken a side of you where you might feel a bit guilty at first. You might think, oh, I'm thinking a lot more about myself now, what I want to do, what I'd like to do the rest of my life. And you're paying less attention. You're still nurturing and caring, but not quite as much where you're taking back control of yourself. It's like you're thinking more of yourself and putting yourself first, which you should always do, because if you can't nurture and take care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to take care of others as well in your life and nurture them. And if you can love and protect and nourish your body and yourself, you'll give out that love into the world, and other people will be drawn to you, to want to get to know you. People around you, your family, will be more loving to you. They won't be going, oh, go, mum's here, oh, she's in a bad mood today. You understanding your body and how it works, and you can control your moods, and knowing how to, journal. I talk to women about journaling at this phase of the life, because it can be quite emotional going through perimenopause. Because in perimenopause, your hormones are up and down and all over the place. And your body's under a little bit of stress during this time. This is where the HPA axis I talked about can break down a little bit, because the hormones are up and down, and then your brain can't keep up, and then your adrenal glands are not working correctly, thyroid's not working correctly, the hormones are not being balanced quite as well as they used to be able to before, because of all this stress and going on in the body, and the brain talking to the rest of your body is just not quite. It's like a radio frequency. The radio frequency is just a little bit off, and it's a little bit crackling. You can't quite, your body's not, and this is how it can bring on the symptoms in perimenopause, the hot flashes and things like that, brain fog, depression, anxiety. Women are suffering more with anxiousness now in perimenopause. And when you look at that and think, how can I help my body go through this stressful time when my hormones are reducing down, getting ready, because we're going, it's like puberty in reverse is menopause. Your hormones reduce to levels to what you were at about age 14. You still have a cycle in menopause. You still have the ebb and flow, but you have lower hormones. So it's important in menopause to keep that low level at that level and not go lower. No, too low estrogen, too low progesterone. And like I said, when your hormones decline, when your ovaries stop, your adrenal glands take over the production of your hormones on your fat cells. So it's important not to get too skinny in menopause as well. You do need a little bit of fat on your body to help production of your hormones. And it's looking at the nutrition again in menopause, because it all changes again. Because you're more sensitive to stress in menopause. You're sensitive to sugar in menopause, because you lose that estrogen, that buffer, that buffering of that. When you lose the estrogen, you lose that buffer of the with the blood sugar and the balancing, and the cortisol, helping with the stress. So that's why it's important to look at nutrition, and extra nutrition and minerals are important in menopause as well. And your symptoms can be affected in menopause. As you're going through perimenopause, you have two phases. The first phase is between the age of about 35, you might start with some perimenopause symptoms. They're very, very subtle. Between the age of 35 to 45, you'll still have regular periods. You may have just the odd few symptoms, but if you're a healthy woman, if you're taking care of yourself, like what I've talked about in the first part of my video, then you probably won't even notice this phase very much at all. And then in the second phase, between 45 and the average age of 52 for menopause, you might start seeing your periods getting a larger gap between your periods. So you might have a period and then miss a month, and have a period and miss 2 months. You might have a light period, you might have a heavy period. This is all normal in perimenopause, so don't worry about that. You know, your periods will get scattered all over the place, and this can be a frustrating time for lots of women because they're having to carry some pads, some sanitary towels in the bag, or some tampons, because they don't know when they're going to come on, when they're going to get their period. So this is important to keep a journal around this time. Keep a journal during your perimenopause, and take a look at what's going on in your body around this time, and how your periods are how you're feeling every day. Where are your periods? What gaps are you having in your periods? The only time to worry really is if you're having lots of heavy periods. You know, it's going on for like a month, you're bleeding for a month. This is when you want to go to the doctor and get that checked out. It could be fibroids, a growth, it could be too much estrogen, it could be some toxic estrogens, it could be your gut health affecting the way you process estrogen, because your gut health plays a massive part in the way you process your estrogen. It's called your estrobolome. And the gut microbes in your gut can flip over the estrogen, because estrogen, when your hormones are made and used in your body, they get deactivated and then they're taken out of your body. So if estrogen can be deactivated but reactivated again by your gut microbiome, your estrobolome, and it can be recirculated back in your body. So that can cause estrogen dominance, cause too much of the estrogen in your body. And then your liver health plays a big part as well in your health. The health of your liver and how you're detoxing estrogens out of your body, and also your colon, you're not constipated, you're going to the toilet regularly. That plays a massive part as well. So I hope that really helps you to understand how your body works as a woman. And if any men want to watch my video, to understand how a woman's body works, because it can be quite frustrating for your husbands, your partners, and your family, understanding you and how your body's changing in perimenopause and in menopause. And I'd just like to finish and let you know that things do settle down in menopause. The roller coaster of hormones, the symptoms, you can keep them under control by looking at your nutrition, looking at your lifestyle. And when in menopause, it's so much easier. And when you can create a life that works for you, you can clear your emotions, you can focus on your future, what you'd like for your future. Because I'm enjoying my menopause, my hormones are just, just at a lower level, and they don't fluctuate like they did in perimenopause. So it's so much easier. You don't get the symptoms settle down, and you can work on ways to protect your health, protect your vagina health. Because a lot of women suffer with vaginal dryness, but there's so much you can do now to help with that. You can just get I have the E-string, put the E-string in your vagina, and that just helps to increase the estrogen in your vagina. It doesn't work anywhere else in your body. So it's quite safe, it just works in your vagina. So if you want to reach out and contact me and work with me, please get in touch. And thanks for watching my video today. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.